Welcome back to another video all about my personal journey selling on Amazon. Now, October was a heck of a month. This was probably personally the best month that I've had in my journey in a long time. First off, I'll start out by saying one of the biggest highlights for me for this month was the meetup that I got to have in New York City with the people who I'm closest with on my Amazon journey. There's a few people who are really close in my group that I really owe the majority of my successes to. And these are people who I've been talking really closely with for a year, and I never actually got to do a meetup in person. So last month, I was able to meet those people who are so important to me in my life and finally see them in person. So that was the highlight of my month. So before I get on to the other thing really good that happened in October, let me flip the gears real quick and tell you what really good didn't happen, because that's what these journey updates are about. I'm definitely not the Amazon seller that's just going to flex sales at you guys and say, look how high my sales are. I like to be transparent and an open book and let you know that things aren't always glamorous and luxurious. And there's a lot of crappy things that actually happen. And the bad decision that I made was going through LegalZoom to have the attorney-led trademark done. If you're familiar with my videos, then you know since July, I've been working on a product that it's not private label, but it's a private brand. So essentially the bundle is like bringing a private label product to the platform. So my initial idea was to get my trademark registered and to start selling this branded bundle underneath my trademark. So I paid hundreds of dollars to have LegalZoom set me up with an attorney and to file it for me. This process started in July. I'm going to make this really boring and long story short and tell you that what started in July is still ongoing today. How they work it is there's this portal and you go on that portal and the attorney gives you updates there, and it's a checklist where you can check things off and message your attorney. Well, what happened is she completely stopped messaging me. So every time I try to make contact with her, I wait about 3 weeks and then I try to reach out with somebody at LegalZoom to help me out because I'm literally at a standstill. And every time I talk to somebody, they say, well, we can't handle this. We'll send the information in. We'll call you back next week. And they never, ever do. So just last week, actually, which was the last week in October, I finally got a call from somebody at LegalZoom and thought to myself, oh my gosh, it's finally getting handled. Maybe I'll finally get a refund after waiting months and not being able to go through with my trademark to begin with. And what was it? It was another attorney. They had sent a new attorney to try to convince me to just start the process all over again. And I said, absolutely not. First off, I can't even go through with this trademark idea that I had because I had hundreds of dollars sitting in inventory that I needed to sell, and I decided to sell it another way. I didn't do it through the trademark. I just listed the bundle as a generic bundle with the brand name of the private brand that I bought the stuff from. So what does this guy do? The same thing they've been doing for me every 3 weeks. I'll send the information on to the higher ups. You'll hear back next week. And of course, I haven't. So I highly recommend that you probably should not go through LegalZoom attorney-led trademarks because it is just going to be a mess. And if the attorney that you get doesn't actually provide the service for you and stops communicating with you, and you try to reach out to LegalZoom, they're going to just keep giving you this runaround on how it doesn't matter who you talk to, they can't handle it and they have to send it to someone higher up who will call you back. They never call you back. So still dealing with that, and that lost money. And on top of that, I decided, okay, the same product that we're talking about, I needed to run PPC on because like I said, it's a private brand. It doesn't exist. So nobody's searching that brand name in their keyboard. So I decided, I think I know enough about PPC. I've run a little bit here on there on some of my branded bundles just to promote them a little bit, but I've never had to run this in-depth of a PPC campaign. So I figured, well, if I just have like a really high budget and some main keywords in there that I'm gonna sell. And actually what happened is I lost hundreds of dollars. But I did smarten up, and after losing hundreds of dollars in PPC that did not convert to sales, I went on to Fiverr and I found this guy who did my PPC campaigns for me. He set them up. He did an audit first. He looked at all of the keywords that needed to be changed and what needed to be done. Anyways, sales are finally starting to happen. Thank goodness. Let me show you really quick what the Keepa looks like on the product so you can see how it's changed after he was able to successfully run the PPC, which I did not do a good job at. So right here is when my bundle first went on Amazon and I was trying to run the PPC on my own. So on Wednesday, September 28th, you can see no sales. That green line's just going up and up. There are no drops. Finally, we get a drop here on October 4th. All of this time, I was running so much PPC and set a super high budget. I wasted a ton of money. And what's ironic is the sale that I did end up getting, it wasn't from one of the PPC ad campaigns that I had set up. So I literally was just wasting hundreds of dollars on this campaign. So I decided to take that off, and then I found this guy on Fiverr. It was only $75 for him to do this. We did a consult together, and then he went in and he set up the campaigns for me. The budget that he set is only like $25, $30 a day, and I'm not even spending that. And you can see that there are so many more sales now that I had somebody way more experienced doing the PPC rather than me trying on my own and wasting tons of money. So as you can see, there hasn't been a ton of sales on it, but there's been way more sales than before. Let me just zoom in here. So this is really when he got things going. So that doesn't look like a great keep a chart, right? Like if this was an arbitrage item, I would not be jumping onto this. But for me to see this for the product that I'm bringing to the market that has never been here before, a brand that nobody knows, I really love to see this because I honestly thought I was going to get stuck with all of this inventory and have to give it out for everybody for every holiday, Christmas, birthdays, just to get rid of it. So to see it moving is nice. But I'll be very honest with you, I'm making like no actual net from this product because after the money for having to buy the products, then I had to buy the bags, and then I have to merchant fulfill some of them. So the shipping cost me at least $8 every time I send one out. I'm really not making any money on it, especially because the original price that I wanted to list it at, I can't list it at that right now. I really need to build a rank up and have people start trusting this brand before they'll actually pay that price. So the price point is also a lot lower than I need it to be to make some profit. Perfect example here of how very hard it is to bring a brand to Amazon and be successful with it. It takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of patience, and there's going to be a lot of things that go wrong. But it was a learning experience nonetheless. So not a huge win, but still a win in my book that I'm not going to just have so many dozens of these units and I'm not going to be able to move them. Yes, I'm not making a lot. In some cases, I'm not making anything at all. But in most cases, I'm at least breaking even. But the most exciting thing that has happened business-wise for me this past month is really switching how I am looking at my model of selling. Up until this point, everything was basically just arbitrage. Yes, I dabbled a little bit with the private brand and trying to do that private label thing. And that just is not how I want to go moving forward. That has been so much stress. So the bulk of what I do is arbitrage, but I'm finding that it is taking so much time. Even with having VAs, a lot of what they're giving me for leads are not things that I want to sell. And even though I'm getting better and better every single month at sourcing, it still takes a ton of time. And a lot of the things I'm finding, I can only get when they're on sale. So I've completely transitioned my model this past month and spent hours upon hours on switching to wholesale. Up until this point, I've just been kind of putting my hands in all of the baskets because I want to learn. I want to know how to do everything, especially so that I can help you guys as much as possible too. And as you probably noticed, if you've been following my videos on my channel, there have been a lot lately on wholesale because that's what I've been spending all of my time doing. And really, I feel like it's a smart move because there's definitely a lot less risk. So I'm finding brands that are already selling well, and by getting them through authorized suppliers or even working with the brand themselves, then I'm really getting rid of any risk at all. Because I'm seeing so many different horror stories of just being on different forums or just talking to people how Amazon just wants proof of the products, proof of where they got stuff, proof of authenticity. Or I just saw somebody yesterday who said they lost hundreds of dollars in products because they sent it to the warehouse, Amazon lost it, and then they wanted proof of the products. But the problem is, if you're just getting arbitrage stuff, you're buying it at Target and Walmart, you don't have an invoice, they're probably not gonna accept that, and you're just going to lose those products. Also, more and more brands are wanting to hit people with IP complaints. So arbitrage really is risky. I like doing it. I'm not going to stop doing it completely, but I am going to spend, I'm going to say at least 90% of my focus sourcing going forward and what I've been doing in October on wholesale. Now at first it was awful. I didn't really know what I needed. I didn't really know what wholesalers, suppliers, distributors, what they would want from me. I didn't really think they would want to work with me. So that was the first thing that I really had to set up. I got my LLC months ago. I've had that. So that comes with a certificate of authority, which is actually different from a resale certificate. So the certificate of authority, that just gives me authority to collect sales tax. But a lot of these wholesalers, they want to see a resale certificate, which in New York State, it's weird how they do it in New York State. It's called the TS-120, I believe it is. And you have to fill it out with your information, and then you give it to the business, and they have to put their business information on there as well. So you need one for each different wholesaler that you're working with in order to not have to pay sales tax. So figuring that out was a struggle in and of itself. But now that I have those two things, I just have them saved as PDFs. Every time I find a wholesaler, I just send those right to begin with, because those are really the things that they're looking for. And if you don't have those, they're probably not going to want to work with you. So in the beginning of October, I really struggled with finding different wholesalers to reach out to. I didn't really get how to find them, what brands to work with. And as you can see in my videos I've posted the last few weeks, I've really been using ProfitGuru a lot to help me to find the brands that are selling well. And what I've been finding is once you find one really good brand and open up an account with them, that is a rabbit trail that leads you to so many others. For example, one of the first big accounts that I opened last month, I was so excited to do so. And what I did is I started searching their products on Amazon and then looking to see who the sellers are. Then those sellers that have a huge amount of stock, I'm talking 200 units, obviously, I know that that's not an arbitrage seller. They didn't go to Walmart and buy 200 units off the shelf. So they're obviously doing wholesale as well. So what I'll do is then click into that seller and look at the other brands they're selling. Because if they got an account with the brand that I got an account with, number one, I'm going to look at all the products they're selling with that brand, and then I'm going to try to replicate what they're doing. But also, I'm going to look at the other brands they're selling and now start reaching out to those brands to see if I too can open up an account. So it's been like a spiral thing, and I've really loved it. Literally every day I wake up and start doing more wholesale research. It gets easier and easier, and I'm finding more and more brands. Have I gotten a lot of no's this month? Absolutely. But have I also gotten a lot of yeses? Absolutely. So I'm definitely going to keep putting in the man hours to focus really heavily on wholesale and to hopefully help my business and help you guys learn it too. And the last update for the month is, man, I still need to work on my focus. That is something that definitely sets me back and wastes a lot of my time. I have a very addictive personality, so once I get into something, I'm into it really hardcore. But I also have the personality where it's ADHD, OCD. So I want to jump around. I want to do all the things. I want my hands in all the baskets. So for example, I've been super hyperfixated with wholesale, and I will just spend hours looking at a wholesale account. And then I'll get bored and I'll see something and I'll switch to that instead. Maybe I'll start looking through one of the leads lists from my VAs. And then after a half hour, I'll get bored of that. Then I'll start thinking about, oh, I'm working on a course for you guys, so maybe I should start working on that for a little while. Then I'll get bored, and then I just keep jumping around. So something I'm going to get better at doing is really setting a list up for the day and following that list. So if that means spending 5 hours just working on the course, I need to write it on the list, block it out, and just spend 5 hours on the course rather than going from this to this to this to this. But overall, October was a great month. It was one that started with the meetup and got me really hyped up to keep moving forward with my business and with the courses and my videos. And it was just a really refreshing month and a nice month to make me feel like I am growing and scaling and moving in the direction that I want to be. So here's to hoping November goes even better, and I will come back with an update and let you know how it goes. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel because I put new videos out every single week to help you guys learn how to sell on Amazon. And if you hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. That's it for this update, and I'll see you in the next video.